Okay, well, we know that he's had this Cloud on the back burner for quite some time. It's his go-to team's character when DK just isn't cutting it, and it's especially good in these matchups that are otherwise nigh impossible for Donkey Kong.
And I would say Rosa is one of those matchups just with how...
Nice.
Beautiful.
Okay, Hand. Okay. Drop more of those Bible thumps I asked for earlier, because DK Will is gonna need them.
Eyeball?
A very unfortunate climb hazard.
Eyeball emoji?
As Jay technically got a 0 to 100.
0 to death right there. I mean,
it counts, but
I'm not going to count DK Will out of this because this is definitely doable for...
It's certainly doable. It's just that, you know, Jay may not be up to the same par as DeBuzz when it comes to Rosalina's here on Long Island, but he is certainly a notable force behind the character.
He's definitely no slouch.
He is an excellent pilot behind the character, and he's one of those Rosalinas who really appreciates how good Rosalina's tools are, as opposed to how strong it is as a puppeteer behind Luma.
Yeah,
that being said,
I've definitely seen that in his team's play. How he uses his Rosalina just even solo very well. But it looks like this comeback is definitely possible. I mean, currently Rosalina, because of how light she is, can be killed by really a good amount of Cloud's options, and I wouldn't say that Will is at necessarily a ridiculously high percent.
No, not at all. He's sitting here at 56%, while Jay has an impressive amount of rage behind him. But you've noticed that DK Will has been able to take Luma off the board very often. It just hasn't been around to assist Jay in netting this kill. And where a lot of that rage that Rosalina and Luma threatens with is more behind Luma's hits than Rosalina.
Definitely. I mean, Luma's hitboxes are very strong. It's just like having a very strong 5-pointed sword with you.
Either way, we've got the even stocks finally, and Will doing well to sit on this technically first stock of his.
I mean, with what happened, unfortunately, that first stock, he played this one with one stock.
I mean, listen, you're in bracket. You got to hold that if that's what happens.
I mean, he's doing a good job of playing with that one stock he has. And I mean, if he isn't able to take this one, I'd really like to see what he can do with 2.
Now, that being said, he has managed this match very well.
Yeah, I mean,
Luma, still absent. As it comes up, Will just constantly puts out options that cause it to just stay away.
He's really evened this up.
We're going to have the release into the jabs. Very interesting option, but it's not going to be quick enough.
I mean, and this is now very scary for both of these characters. Both of them can be taken out by really any of these options from these characters. Both of them known to have very powerful kill moves.
And Limit has been charged. DK Will uses it right off the bat, and the Blade Beam is going to do it. DK Will coming off of just one stock. And all he needed to play around Jay. I really feel like just eliminating Luma from the equation helped him with being able to play that out a lot slower and just match stronger hitboxes to what Jay was putting out.
Honestly, I definitely like what happened, even though it was unfortunate losing that first stock. I think that playing with that one stock made him play so much safer, so much more methodical. Really how I have seen DK Will play.
It's a style of play that, it really helps showcase the intelligence behind this player.
And there we go with the Diddy Kong counterpick from Jay.
It's something he has been practicing. I've seen it from him. This isn't anything new, but Diddy Kong into Cloud, very interesting choice.
I personally don't know how this matchup goes just because I haven't really paid attention to it that much.
It's a matchup we often see at higher levels of play thanks to the abundance of Diddy Kong and Cloud players.
Yeah, like we have Andre 4000, also known as Zenodo.
Why are you going to do him like that? He's barely part of the conversation.
As just one of the Diddy Kongs. He's probably one of the higher level Diddy Kongs out there. That, and I just saw that on Twitter today, and I thought it was very funny. So you
didn't need to do him like that, though.
He's nice. I mean, come on.
So, we're turning back into the match, and percentages built themselves up rather nicely, but it's Will who's in charge of this ledge situation. Jay having a bit of difficulty getting himself back on terra firma, and Limit threatening a bit more space than normal. We're seeing that DK will use a lot of his playstyle of Donkey Kong behind this Cloud. A lot of threatening space with aerials.
A very strong hitbox with those aerials. Really taking up a lot of space and using Limit like kind of a type of Ding Dong thing. I mean, it's just obviously unlike Ding Dong, Limit doesn't matter. It doesn't care what percent you are at. It's going to hit you hard.
So, Will doing what he can to just cover Jay's landing right now, and it's a very interesting pick. Jay utilizing a lot of this banana, trying to cover space, and I like it.
Unfortunate
banana
SD.
Yeah, that's not an SD, my friend. That's the banana covering good enough space that it would have clanked with Climb Hazard. It would have, caught that recovery.
Oh.
Jay doing very wise to try and punish those low recovery options, and we might see him go for it again, but Will doing wise to try and get himself back on stage where it might have been safer, but Jay's just carrying him left and right.
I definitely like, actually, this Diddy Kong counter pick, now that I'm looking at it, instead of being as questioning it as I was before. It's definitely something that I can see is really working out for Jay. And as I say that, DK Will takes that back air and just kills Diddy Kong. I mean, that's it. But now Limit is in play, and he's probably going to be not forced to burn it.
Nope. Everyone always worries about Cloud's recovery and having to have Limit in order to come back to stage, but his jump is pretty good.
His air jump is excellent.
Like, don't sleep on this man's jumps. One way or another, utilizing the Limit for a Blade Beam, and I like it just to put more percentage on the board.
Yeah, just to try and even it up just that little bit, because, I mean, right now, Jay isn't really sitting in any sort of kill percent, and Will certainly is.
He's sitting at that 144 right now. Jay very patiently just sitting at the ledge waiting to see what options are picked from DK Will. And this is a bit more of an extreme version of how we saw Game 1. Sitting with his back against the corner and just waiting patiently to see how he's going to respond and push things back in his favor.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that playing with the platforms definitely helped him. He needed those platforms.
Oh, certainly. It gives you much more space to maneuver around with. It gives the Cloud especially a lot of space to be able to safely charge Limit. However, now forcing Jay to have to utilize his resources, landing in not particularly that great of a position. But that is how we're going to be seeing us moving into Game 3.
That is Game 3 right now. I definitely think that Diddy Kong counter pick was an excellent idea, and I think we're definitely going to see Jay sticking Diddy Kong. Can we possibly see the Donkey Kong from Will, though?
Moving on into Diddy Kong, it's certainly possible. It's all a matter on whether or not Jay is going to switch himself back into Rosalina.
There are chairs for a reason, Ricky.
We're going to be moving ourselves into Battlefield. Will is going to be sticking as Cloud.
Close the damn door for once.
I mean, look, Cloud on Battlefield is a great threat. I mean, it's just a very powerful tool. Like, Cloud with the platforms on Battlefield can let him maneuver around his enemies and, use those platforms to charge Limit very effectively.
As you mentioned earlier, how, Cloud with platform is just so strong. Seeing him with 3 platforms and tons of space to work with, it's really a matter about how well Jay is going to maneuver himself around. And from the percentage deficit that we have on board, it's looking like Jay is managing himself quite comfortably.
I mean, Diddy Kong with platforms is no slouch either. I mean, Diddy Kong as a character is no slouch. And I really like what he's doing, trying to get Will off in a position where Cloud is probably his weakest, which is off stage.
It's one of those positions where Cloud has to try and contest or utilize some sort of resource to get himself out of that situation, and we're seeing it happen quite often to Will.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said many times at this point, this switch to Diddy Kong was an excellent idea for him, because while I was questioning earlier, now I can see it's clearly practiced, and he clearly has an idea of what he's doing with this matchup.
Yeah, you can't sleep on these counter picks.
No. And I was having a good conversation with somebody else here that really, even though, yes, we have that top 5, we have that top 10 players, you really can't count out anyone from New York. Because even like those top 10 players, like Mr. E, he regularly plays with Ralphie, who isn't even PR'd. But I can see him possibly being PR'd after this.
He's had a very strong quarter too. However, New York is just such a mess of power.
It's a very strong region, and it's clearly evident with this, like, a character where we see Jay, who we typically think of as a Rosa specialist, just doing exceptionally well against DK Will's Cloud, another person who we don't see as a Cloud player.
He's just a player who's been around the block for a very long time. He's seen the development of this community, and he knows the kind of power that's behind these kind of characters, but he's not going to be able to come back to stage. A very risky offstage play is going to be taking Jay down by his,
very close.
By his own, really.
Yeah, I mean, that was